Hi everybody. Today is day 2 of making mixed media papers for collage. And you already know, if you're following along with the guides, this month in Art and Answers is creativity and exploration. And of course we're making mixed media papers because there's so many possibilities. There's so many ways you can do it. And it certainly pushes you a little to get out of your comfort zone. And there's so many, hey Sue, there's so many that it almost boggles my brain. I have so many things around here I want to show you. So, but what we're going to be making in the end are, you can do all three, or you can choose from these 3 different styles of collage. And next week we're going to be, I think it's next week, I have to look at the date. We're going to be actually putting our papers together. But there are so many that I decided a little while ago that I would photograph each one and give it a description so that you can kind of refer back to it, because you're not going to want to go back through a video every time. So I'm going to do that for you. Yesterday we did a scrape which is this. Just put color on the page with a hotel key or card or whatever you want. And we started to do some other things, and I got interrupted. So we're going to include those things today. I added the stencils and the scrape on top of the stencil. But like I said, I'm going to photograph each one of those and write it on there so you can remember exactly what to do with it. So today we're going to do a couple different things. You don't really need explanation, I don't think, with some of them. I'm going to try to find you the example here. Like this one, envelope number 3. Here it is. So this is just simply a splatter. It's white and gold splatter. And I don't see who somebody else's came on. So that's one. We can use paintbrush. I like to use dark paper sometimes because it gives you more contrast, and that's what you're looking for. You want a dark, medium, and light color tone. So I know that you can do that. One of the things we're going to do today, which is super fun, I'm going to turn you down to my table. There we go. And it's all about reminding yourself about childlike play, you know? So here I have a scrape that I did, and I've got a container full of marbles. And I'm just going to put really kind of a few drops in there, and I'm going to put some water to dilute it a little bit. Not very much. There we go. And I'm going to kind of stir it around. And you see I've got a shoebox top. And I'm going to take my trusty Dairy Queen spoon. And I'm going to pick these marbles up and place them over here. And so the nice thing about it is, with collage, you're just going to be using a little portion of this whole thing. And so we're just going to take this and let them roll. Let them roll and let them go all over. Is that not fun? That is so fun. And you know, you can put it in other colors. You can do more than that. You can run it back through what you have there. I'm really kind of liking this a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and grab those and keep them from spoiling this whole section. And you never know. I mean, I keep most everything, so you never know. I might end up using this for something else. But, so that's one technique. Like I said, I'm going to photograph all these and let you have them. And tomorrow I was going to do jelly plate, but I just did my live Tuesday, and we're going to use that. I'm going to show you that. So this is something that is really awesome in Collage. I don't think I used this in this one, but it's just regular tissue paper. And if you know what somatic writing is, it's just kind of a nonsensical lettering system. And I wrote it out on here so you could know what it was. Somatic writing is a therapeutic writing practice that focuses on physical sensations and body experiences. And so if you're feeling tentative or upset, you're probably going to write really small. And a lot of times the pressure will be really light because you're not confident. But when you're confident, you'll have a more systematic type of writing. If you're angry, it might be pressed down hard and it might be really erratic. So somatic writing is really a good way to get your emotions out, but it also makes some fantastic collage paper. This one I did for you because, and I forgot to get it out, but this is a stamp that is only oriented this way. But the nice thing about tissue paper is you can turn it over and print it the other way. And then when you put it down, the whole paper just sort of disappears and you end up with your stamp going in both directions. Another thing about tissue paper is this is just a stamp, and if you have to be careful when you stamp it, you don't get the little edge around here. Some of them don't have that, but this particular one does. So I have to stamp it very straight and very careful. But this one I did on purpose to show you. I just sort of stamped it and pulled it up. And you have to hold it down for a moment and let the ink permeate the tissue paper. And this is archival ink so that it won't smear, and you know, it'll be beautiful in your collage. You can also, with tissue paper, do things like this. This is acrylic paint. I have done it with watercolor paint, just markers, all kinds of things. Markers, and spritz it with the water, just all kinds of things. So, let me see. I think, let me go through some of these and tell you what they are. And this, of course, was the envelope of papers that I did with this. And so this one ended up right here. And I tend to put a little piece of it in all three. So this was just a stencil, and you can see it here. This one I loved. I thought I was going to use. This is a candy dish on a jelly plate, but it just, well, there's a little piece of it right there, but it just kind of didn't work with the whole thing. And you're going to have things like that that just don't work. This is a printed tissue, and you see how that just sort of blends right into it. Also printed tissue. This is just a brown paper bag, which I wrinkled up, and it gave it some texture. You can actually take your stamp pad and rub over it gently, and it'll just hit these high points on the wrinkled paper. But this is something I wanted to talk to you about. When you use printed icons, you have to be very careful because this is someone else's artwork. And if you go to a copy-free site, that's fine. That's fine. Those artists have sold that design, and you know they're not going to feel cheated if they see your stuff. But there's a lot of art out there take a drink of my coffee, that the artist has not consented for that. Now, if it's for your personal use, that's fine, but you just can't use that and sell it. So you have to be careful with printed things. I'm not going to provide you with this because this was something provided to me from a class that I took from someone else. So you do have to just be kind of, you know, thoughtful and careful of other people's hard work. All right, so that one's there. This one, so this was a scrape with a stencil on top, and I did it very lightly so that it would show it's metallic as well. And you can see that here, here, and here. Again, with this tissue paper and wrinkled paper bag. This also was a scrape, and honestly, I was painting something else and I had too much paint and I just dabbed it off and it ended up, but look how beautiful it turned out, and it worked perfectly with this design. This one is the burgundy lines here, and this is just paint swatches, paint chips that I brought home. See, this one's called Pizza Pie, Opal Fire, but I just laid them on my copy machine and copied them so that they would be on thinner paper. You could certainly use the paint chip itself too, but this way, like if you wanted to use this corner piece or something, then you would have something of interest to add there. I have also, I'm not sure if I can find it right off, and I don't want to waste your time, but I have also taken like fall leaves and flowers. Oh, here it is. It was meant to be. And I put this on my copy machine, and I have used pieces of that. See, this is oak leaf hydrangeas, and it's just really interesting. So, and then on this one, of course, this is a color, these backgrounds are just colored paper, but this was a scrape that I used my white pen, and this is really good for when you're upset or bored or, you know, and you can just go along and just doodle, you know, on these darker scrapes. And it doesn't have to be white. You can do a lighter one with darker ink. It's just whatever you decide you want to do. So, and it just doesn't take anything. It's just a little scrap of paper. You can put that in your purse and do it if you want to. Here is, and so this doodle one is here, here, and here. Here is the marble technique I just showed you. This is another scrape, and it has, it's right here, has a little bit of a stencil on it. I'll show you some different ones. There's that one. And so, obviously, I like spots and swirls. Those are kind of my favorite. You can tell by looking at my stuff. But so this one was the same thing. It was a scrape. Actually, it was a scrape, and then if you see this, this is alcohol, and then I put stencil on top of that. So you can do multiple different things. And if you look very closely, I felt like it was just a little too bland in some places. And so this is actually a scrape paper that I took a hole punch and made some extra little dots in different colors. I certainly could have just painted that on if I wanted to, and if you have certain numbers that are important to you, 305 is kind of my signature thing. And so you can put those numbers in there. You can handwrite them. You can, this happened to be a stamp, you know. So I just thought I would go through and make sure that I have shown you all these things. This is on a jelly, well, this is a brayer where I was working on a jelly plate, and that's something that you'll see tomorrow. And I just offloaded the excess right there. And so the first square, the first go round of this wheel will be the darkest, and then it'll be lighter. And so you can use that to your advantage. Like if I had turned it around, then the darker part would be here, and it would look sort of checkerboard. So that's the whole point. As you begin to play with all these things, you start to have ideas, and you start planning for it, because you know how it's going to come out. I am going to take this, and I'm going to show you quickly how I manage my papers. Can you imagine? Can you see all this stuff? So I have 4 little trays, and if you saw my live on my business page, then you probably saw this, but I have a tray full of warm colors, all blues and greens and all those warm colors. This is black and whites. There's some somatic writing. I do use some foil sometimes. Sometimes I collect, this is just scrapbook paper. I'm telling you guys, the possibilities are endless with this. The reason I've got these out is because I wanted to show you this. If you look at the green one with the butterfly, you can faintly see right here this tea bag. And then I had the tag attached, so I just stuck it on there. And it made for a very interesting design. If you have tickets or anything that's important to you, you can do that. Here's a wrinkled page of something that has words on it, and I just brayered it off with a gold. So it's so fun, and you start collecting all these things, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have to use this stuff up. This is just paper that I soaked in coffee, just black coffee. I'm looking for some other interesting ones. Put that over there. And then this is all warm colors, of course. Here's the rest of that copy paper that I did. This was Punchinella. I always want to call it Millerine for some reason. This is Punchinella, which I laid on there and then put the ink down, put the paint down, excuse me. So when we get all this done, I'm going to bring you back up here for a moment. Okay? So I would suggest that you get, hey Teresa, I suggest that you play around with all these things. Tomorrow's jelly plate, and if you saw my live, it's going to be the same one. And I'm going to I'm going to photograph all of them and write on there what the technique is, so that you can begin to play and begin to try all this. Most of this is just on regular copy paper. There's no reason to get very expensive heavyweight paper. When you become a professional collage artist, you can do all that stuff. But right now you're trying to have some fun. So I would try all the techniques, number 1. Number 2, I would try to keep all your colors in one palette. So you're going to choose either a warm palette, a cool palette, a neutral palette, or black and white. those are my categories. Now you could have a tray for every color if you wanted. That's just the way I work it out. And you can do it however you want. So I would say choose a palette, try all the techniques, and try to make sure that you have 3 different values of each one. So a dark one, a medium color, a medium shade, and a light. So that you can have contrast from the very darks to the very lights and something in between. Got it? You guys are going to have so much fun doing this, and I can't wait to get together with all your papers. I want you to photograph them and show us. I want to show us all your experimenting and all your exploration. And tell us how you feel about these things. And so finally we'll get together and put it all together. We'll start trying to figure out, I'll show you some of the composition things that, ideas that you need to put together so that your composite looks complete. So thanks so much for coming. And tomorrow I'm going to put the jelly plate one up for you to see. And I'm excited to see your versions of your experiments. And try other things. Try things that maybe we didn't even think about. Maybe we haven't even tried yet. Or I didn't even have time to show you. So I want to see what you're doing. And tell me how much fun you're having. Okay? So I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye.